So, you start to think, okay, well, what's the utility of masturbation? Well, one utility could be that it kind of helps you learn sex in a way. Like, for example, I know it's a common thing that happens to a lot of people when they're young. Like, they might just be like doing whatever with their hands, and then they end up like accidentally touch themselves, and they're like, oh, this feels good. And then they kind of do it again. That sort of looking at your genitalia and working with it, the more you kind of touch it, the more you understand what feels good or doesn't feel good. And then you just kind of do it. And then that kind of gives you a simulation of what sex is. And it kind of helps as a stencil in that way because, well, as organisms, one thing that's always going to be a huge driving, motivating factor for us is pushing on our genes and reproducing and getting to the next generation, basically. And, that's for a lot of reasons that we can get into in a second. But because of that, as animals, we want to have sex. But, when you're born, you're not really born with a pamphlet of, oh, this is how you have sex. This is how you move on your genes to the next generation. So things like masturbation can act as like a stencil or a blueprint that kind of get you learning to interact with that part of your body and understanding its utility outside of just, like urinating. You're like, oh, it's like a pleasure point. And then it could just up your chances of interacting with it later in the way that allows you to have kids.